So coming to, you can see as I was mentioning that I have not named it this particular beginning slide. As Deepak was mentioning, I'll be taking the challenge of demystifying smart contracts. And when I do that, definitely it will be my efforts to be non-legal and non-technical. So with that few words, let me quickly share that I'll be using quite a bit of graphics from the internet, which are freely available, and I acknowledge their contribution. This presentation is based on a research paper on digital transformation with smart contracts, which was published by the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. It's a UGC journal called the Management Accountant. As I was mentioning, you will be able to connect with me in LinkedIn, where I have about 17,500 connections. You'll be able to connect with me through YouTube, my personal YouTube channel. And of course, you can connect with me through my uh, Twitter handle. So I was mentioning you that I'll be talking to you about the genesis of smart contract, that the smart contract, the digital layer of blockchain technology. Then I'll talk about how smart contract can help integration of technologies via the blockchain platform. Then legal recognition of digital records and case studies. And the down below, the one you are seeing, it is a software coding done by two of our students in their summer training for one of my blockchain platform called Agriculture Blockchain Platform. This is the KYC flow chart. Okay, now let me come to the core of the paper. There is an axiom that there is everything in law and there is law in everything. I hope all of you agree with this axiom that there is everything in law and there is law in everything. When I say there is everything in law and there is a law in everything, what I mean to say is that while law takes care of every part of our life, every nook and corner of our life, every aspect and facet of our life, similarly, in law, there is everything. So if I transform this language, in blockchain, there is law and there is law in blockchain. When I say in blockchain there is law, it does mean when a blockchain platform is designed, it is designed in conformation and in compliance with legal and regulatory provisions. And when a transaction is done through a blockchain platform, that means there is law in blockchain. That means the smart contracts, which is there inside the blockchain, which is the brain and the functional arm of the platform, which drives the software of the platform, that gets driven by a series of soft contracts. Now these soft contracts are also called contractware. Like when you write a digital program, it is called software, or any computer program. And when you write a contract scripted in software, it is called contractware. Now, government agencies, NGOs, corporate organizations, they follow law. Their aim is to always remain on the right side of the law. But the problem it used to be in traditional ERP frameworks like SAP or Oracle Financial, or for any other Exapta, any other ERP system. There used to be law to the extent it can do, but the execution of the legal aspects of that used to be mostly done by human intervention. That means through configuration. The system of ERP is not such that it is end-to-end compliant with law. That is what is something which is you can think of that a blockchain does with the help of a smart contract. How? Let me give an example. Suppose you have issued a purchase order and you have captured that purchase order into in a SAP system, and you have captured some of the terms and conditions in the software of SAP for executing the purchase. When the materials are received, you will be doing the good receipts note. You will pay him as per the time agreed. You will pay the GST as per the rate agreed, blah and blah. But all these things are humanly captured. These are not auto-driven. These are not auto-executed. But when you go for blockchain, those billion-dollar questions, that how that can be done without the intervention of human being, that is what blockchain helps you to do. That means you are essentially in a blockchain platform doing transaction, getting driven by a smart contract, which by itself is legally compliant. Now, then you can ask me, do you think, Dr. Vasu, that a smart contract, a computer software writes? Answer is no. A smart contract is initially written by legal eagles, legal luminaries, and not by one, more than one legal luminaries. And if the contract is between somebody in one country and the other party is in the another country, that means the cross-border laws which are applicable from both the countries, that is more than one sovereign nations, those are also can be captured in a smart contract. In my case study, I'll explain about it. So coming to this point is that when you do a smart contract capture in a blockchain digital library, at that point of time, this blockchain service provider creates a series of contracts, which I'll explain through case studies. And these series of contracts are initially drafted by legal luminaries, and those are not only drafted, but also those are tested by, reviewed by, cleared by a set of lawyers. So once it is done and captured in the computing system, and those legal provisions are embedded in the software of blockchain, which is called script in technical language, then the legal provisions are executed through the transactional process by the script of the blockchain technology. Thus, during the course of execution of the transaction, you don't need any human being to intervene, any lawyer to come in, nobody required to come in. And since these contracts are pre-embedded into the blockchain system, you as a participant in the blockchain platform, you need not go to your own lawyer or your own legal team in the company or any external consultant lawyer for getting all these things executed. I'll explain to you this in greater detail. Now, if there is any legal professional present here in this particular forum, then you will ask me what are the conditions to satisfy before I call it a contract, a valid contract. These are the conditions which are to be satisfied. Who are the parties and whether they are legally eligible to enter into a contract. What was the agreement? Were offer and acceptance legally valid? Suppose there is an agreement that I will marry your daughter, but you have to give me a dowry of 1 crore of rupees or 10 lakh rupees. And if this contract is signed on a stamp paper, definitely this contract is not a valid contract in the eye of law, because taking dowry in a marriage is not permitted in law. So whether the transaction is legally enforceable transaction, that is also seen. Then there is a very maxim that no consideration, no contract, and the consideration should flow equally. Nobody should be unnecessarily benefited. Whether that is there in the blockchain based smart contracts, answer is yes. The next question is where is there is good faith and efforts or excuses for breach. No excuse for breach can be a question in a blockchain based smart contract, because when you get into blockchain, the purpose of blockchain is transparency, security, safety, and immutability. So good faith in any case would be there, because the smart contracts will be created based on the legal provision, but execution breach cannot happen, because if anybody wants to do anything beyond what is not there in the smart contract, a pop-up will come that your transaction which you are doing is beyond the permitted portion of the transaction. I'll explain to you when I come to the case study. Was there mutual consent? Digital signature will be there for both the parties, or three parties, or four parties. And so without digital signature, a contract cannot be executed in a blockchain platform. Was there any force or duress? Nobody can force or duress in a digital system, because you on your own volition get into a system, and through your public key, you announce a transaction. But when you enter the system, you enter with your private key. So when you enter with your private key, you are entering on your own volition. So nobody is forcing you to do anything. Was there any partial performance? Blockchain will not allow you to do partial performance, because the system will look for complete performance before the transaction is allowed to proceed to the next phase. Is there any breach of any other law and regulation? Answer is no, because the blockchain technology based smart contracts, since it will be drafted by a set of legal luminaries, it will be reviewed by another set of legal luminaries, and finally it will be tested while the blockchain platform is being tested. And there again will be testing people also will be lawyers. So there is no question of any legal regulation breach. So if I now cover everything into one sheet, what do I get? I get is that a smart contract is essentially a set of digitally embedded software codes used to perform any type of transaction without the need for any human intervention or intermediate. It does mean that when you are entering it into a blockchain platform where smart contracts have been embedded, you don't need to have the benefit of a lawyer being with you, because of one simple reason, that the lawyer's job has been done and completed, and now they're in the blockchain itself in the form of an scripted and embedded smart contract. Each smart contract can be also drafted in such a manner which not only take care of accounting requirements, but also will legal requirements, but also it will take care of requirements of accounting standards, auditing standards, and financial reporting, and your own internal MIS reporting. How it will be done, I'll come back to you very soon. That means when, after this execution of the contract, when the transactional details will be prepared, blockchain will ensure that the party who has initiated this transaction, the details which are generated from the blockchain for shifting to that particular party's computing system via a wallet created at his point. That means when you participate in a blockchain, you are a node member or a participant in the blockchain. So blockchain, based on your own transaction, it can create a set of transactional data and deposit in your blockchain platform in your node through which you are performing in a stack. That means chronologically it can add to your node. You can, with the help of an application program interface, if you connect your wallet, that means the computer which is participating into the blockchain platform, you can connect that particular computer with your own ERP system, and that data which is sitting from the blockchain in the wallet of your computer will go and straight away update your computing system. Thus, the accounting standard point will be taken care of. Suppose you are doing an EXIM transaction, export-import transaction, then there are a lot of international regulations called Incoterms are to be carried off. These are applicable to insurance, port management, shipping management, etc., etc. So all these things can be taken care of by the blockchain platform. And of course, applicable regulatory provisions, including taxation, etc., can be also taken care of. So therefore, when you talk about such a transaction, you will tell me, Dr. Basu, if an export-import transaction is being taken care of, there may not be one contract, because there may be more than one contract which will be required, which I will be discussing with you in case study. Yes, there will be a super smart contract, which is the contract when you start participating in a blockchain technology based platform. The tech platform, after doing your KYP, that is know your participant, that is your detailed antecedent and verification, it will make you to sign a contract which is called super smart contract. It will bind you to the fact that whatever transaction will do in this, you'll be doing based on the contracts embedded into this blockchain platform. Then you can ask me a question, Dr. Basu, you are making me a slave of the system. I will have no option to change my terms of contract with the other party. Neither the other party will have the option. There again, there is a facility available, which is the facility of flexibility. Any clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 7 clause, if you do not agree, and if of the main contract which is there in the library, which blockchain will prompt you to execute, you can say these are the clauses I don't agree. So you can announce a transaction by stating that I have attached a document in which I want to replace such and such clauses of the smart contract library based contract with such and such clauses. If the other party agrees, or there are process of iteration takes place, finally you agree to a set of changes which have to be incorporated in the original embedded smart contract, then you can do so. So what the blockchain platform will ensure that the original smart contract library contract which you have adopted for your transaction between you and the other party, there are certain clauses which you have mutually agreed to replace. It will be first replaced and the transaction execution will take place based on that. So what we can say is that once the contract is ready based on mutually agreed position, then it becomes a set of promises and it becomes a self-executable. So smart contract is a self-executable contract, which is a set of promises mutually agreed and digitally signed. And when you do that, it becomes embedded in the script of the blockchain technology. That means the system is now told that if anybody wants to do anything beyond this embedded contract, you should block it. System will block it. And, and all these data will be available with the all participants in their respective nodes. Also, it will be available in the blockchain technology library of not only smart contracts, but also library of evidences. Suppose you're buying something from somebody, one of the evidence is invoice. So when the seller raises the invoice, the blockchain technology creates a library where these invoices as a document will be available. So it provides capability of a credibility of a transaction. It helps minimizing the scope of litigation. Digitally facilitate, verify and enforce the negotiation, which I was talking about, that these clauses are not done. In fact, through the blockchain platform, you can issue a tender paper and so 5 people are quoted to the tender paper. Suppose you have accepted the L1 offer and told him, I accept your offer if you give me 3% discount if I buy more than 10 tons. You can announce this requirement, and if the other party agrees, automatically the price which is adopted by the blockchain platform, it will be 3% down than the accepted number. So all these things can be arranged. And whenever any party wants, suppose after having agreed giving 3% discount, now the supplier having supplied the goods wants to raise the invoice at 100 instead of 97, blockchain will block it. So this is the beauty of the smart contract driven performance system in a blockchain. Now you can say that how a blockchain smart contract operation works. First of all, the main codification is done. Then both the parties finalizes in it is if the agreement is in the blockchain library does not necessarily mean that the parties will agree to it. The parties have to read through it, finally change if they need to change, and which is unlikely because best of the legal luminaries have done it with a lot of flexibilities built into it. Suppose if they want to change, they will change and finally agree. The contract goes live after that and it is stored in the ledger both between the parties and also in the contract library. And the contract automatically executes when the conditions are met. Okay, so what essentially it is giving you? It is giving you security, autonomous nature, interpretation free and interruption free, trustless. That means when you are doing anything based on transaction, which is guided by a contract itself, it shows that you do not trust the other party. मुंह जबानी आप transaction नहीं कर रहा है. You are doing a transaction based on a signed paper. And when you are doing a transaction based on a signed paper, what essentially is happening is that it is becoming a situation where the trust of the parties are not there. Trust of the parties are on the agreement which has been signed. It is cost effective and it is first in terms of performance. So blockchain technology today are working for government voting, supply chain management, mortgage system. There are thousands of applications of blockchain, but there are thousands of smart contracts also available for that. Even when you in Russia, voting be using blockchain has also been introduced. You can say, Dr. Basu, what is the need of a smart contract when you are introducing blockchain for public voting for parliament election? Yes, it is required because all the terms and conditions which are there in the Public Representation Act of India and the Assembly Election Related Acts and the Parliament Election Related Acts, those are all which are touching a voter, which are touching a person who is seeking for vote and who is aspiring to be a member of the parliament or assembly. All these things are there in this smart contract, like in a commercial transaction. Even let me tell you one thing. In Australia, a smart contract is there, which is operated by a blockchain technology, where you can book your old age home where you want to go after you retire from your job. Suppose you have nobody to take care of yourself and you can book a old age home room using blockchain. It is happening and it is working. I met the gentleman in Moscow where I chaired the summit and they are operating this particular item. So essentially, blockchain is your digital lawyer. When in Calcutta Corporation, birth certificates have been issued using blockchain platform. Suppose there is a government service being given, it's not a commercial transaction, but government is giving services based on some declared policy, declared reform measured, declared rate, and declared benefits to accrue to the citizen and declared rules, responsibilities of the government in the event something wrong goes. So even if you issue a childbirth certificate through a blockchain platform, the government has to ensure that your child has got the childbirth certificate at the right time, at the right place, and the right mother's name is mentioned, right father's name is mentioned, and this particular certificate, which is now a legal document, is accepted by all the systems of the country. So government therefore writes a smart contract between the government and the citizen of India. The smart contract is digitally signed. Then only this certificate is issued, because the parents are agreeing to maintain this certificate in digital form, and the government is saying that I will ensure that all the authorities across the board, both government and non-government authorities, accept that this digital certificate. So even for a governmental service, a blockchain, if used for any purpose whatsoever, then also there has to be a smart contract. So what happens therefore? Smart contracts are where the rubber meets the road for business and blockchain. Here the word business means any business, business of a government, business of a commercial organization, business of an NGO. Everything together is called a business here. So unless a blockchain platform has its own embedded smart contracts, it will not be able to function. And those smart contracts will be duly coded in the system. It will not be only a contract lying in the digital library. It will be put into the script of the system in such a manner that it is not only legally binding between the parties, it also means that this transaction will not pass through in the system unless and until these compliant conditions are complied with. So the pre-compliant conditions are being ensured by the blockchain technology that during the process of execution, these conditions are all satisfied, which are required by laws and required by regulations, required by instruction of multilateral agencies like World Bank, IMF, or Incoterms, or World Trade Organization, or whatever it is. So the smart contracts takes care of it, and that smart contract is now reduced down to a software. Since it's a software for contract, it is also called contractware. Okay, now you can I have told you that you are not a slave of this contract because you have the right to change it. And in a particular software, in a particular transactional platform, there may be 20 different parties, and there may be 5 or 7 different types of contracts would be necessary. So there will be first a superset of smart contract, and that superset of smart contract will bind each and every participant that you will be working according to the digital library based smart contracts with due changes which will be agreed upon between two and parties. So when you sign a contract, it takes care of the conditions of the Contract Act of any country. It takes care of the conditions, rules, regulations of the concerned country, and it takes care of the accounting, auditing, financial, and other multilateral agencies requirement. All these compliance requirements, all these legal requirements finally give certain features to this blockchain based smart contracts. It becomes self-reliant, it becomes trustworthy, it is self-documented. You don't want to go to a lawyer, get it document, and you just only put your signature on the dotted lines because it is already there in the system and you are reading it. And you have the comfort that it has been seen by best of the legal luminaries. And of course, when you read this, if you feel that uh, you don't have the reliance on these people, you can jolly well bring your lawyer and ask him to see it, because you can download that contract from the system. And there are backup evidences. If there is any litigation tomorrow in the court of law, you can download the system from your own wallet or from the blockchain library and do it. Quickly authorized, you would save a lot of money in the process without any physical lawyer, because the blockchain is your lawyer, because the blockchain service provider, when it has embedded the software, it is already embedded with the help a legal set of luminaries. But once it is done, then it is done for ever and everybody, except for the changes which are required if there is any change in law. And it is regulatory compliant. So it is first quality oriented, reduced cost. Limited scope of conflict, because as you know, whenever on a case to case, on a transaction to transaction basis, a corporate organization drafts laws, it tends to make mistakes. But if a contract has been drafted by a set of luminaries, reviewed by a set of luminaries, tested by a set of luminaries, then chance of flaws is much less. Of course, cross-border transaction also can be taken care of. Next important point, you can say, can any Tom and Dick and Harry can get into the blockchain platform like Bitcoin or like Ethereum and buy and sell? Of course, you cannot do it. You have to do it through your exchange. So answer is no. Every blockchain platform can have its own KYC or KYP process. But IBM has come out with a very interesting software where it can say that wherever there is a blockchain platform, they can rely upon us. I will be doing the KYP and I will integrate my system with your system and pass on data that Mr. X, who has just now logged into your blockchain, it will be your blockchain will prompt to me, that is IBM's blockchain, please do the KYP performance of this person. If the person is not already KYP tested in IBM's platform, then the system will not allow him to log in into the blockchain platform. So IBM, it has to come, the person has to comply, or the corporate organization has to comply with the KYP requirement. as per the requirement which has been suggested by the blockchain platform. And then once it is done, then only the person will be allowed to get into the system. So again, as you know, when you go to open a bank account, this process is done. But the process of KYP is very cumbersome, very time consuming, and very cost ineffective. Blockchain takes care of that. And this IBM solution is universally a very good solution. So how blockchain will say, you can say that in this world of digital technology, I can only talk about blockchain for a transaction. Can I integrate other digital technologies with the blockchain platform? I have written several papers in my 34 papers so far, which proves that blockchain platform is an excellent integrator using smart contracts for for various digital technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, IOB, IIoT, that means industrial Internet of Things, IoRT, that is Internet of Robotic Things, robot, RPA, and AR, augmented reality and virtual reality. I'll give you an example of how drone can be integrated with the blockchain technology. Suppose there is a blockchain platform which is for agriculturists, and a drone service provider gives certain services to this blockchain service provider where agriculture related activities are performed. So having understood that, what are the purposes for which the drone can be used? Purpose number one, surveillance of crops in agricultural fields and orchards, so that if any invader is there in the field or in the orchard, the drone will take the picture of the invader who is taking away the fruits or the crops. Surveillance of crops is possible. So blockchain will be what the drone will do to do. Drone is having its own computer, and the drone itself will be a participant in the blockchain as a drone service provider. It is plotted with the GPS mapping of the orchard or the paddy field or whatever field it is for agriculture, and blockchain will send the images and an alert through the blockchain for that particular farmer in that agricultural blockchain platform. Hey, your orchard, coffee orchard, or your mango orchard or apple orchard has been invaded, and this is the picture of the person who has invaded. So once this is done, he gets a SMS from the blockchain platform and the alert takes place. So blockchain becomes an integrator of drone technology with this. Then sharing of pictures. Suppose a particular area has got affected by a particular plant disease, and the leaves have become turned from green to yellow. So blockchain service provider is asked to the blockchain system that, hey, blockchain service provider, you go to these GPS points, whatever fields are there in that GPS point, and please take pictures and send to us. Now, once it is done, through blockchain, the drone service provider will not only send it to the picture to the farmer, but it will send it to the soil scientist and other agro scientist. And that agro scientist is also have signed a contract with the service provider to the peasant or the farmer, and then he will, on the basis of this color of the leaves, he will suggest that you apply this pesticide or insecticide, or if this is the soil picture, it has dried up, so please do irrigation arrangement. So all these services of blockchain to the scientist or the agriculturist are getting via the blockchain technology based platform, and again getting driven by an agreement done between the drone service provider, the agriculturist, that is the farmer, and the soil scientist. Next, suppose there is a flood or a drought, and because of that flood, the paddy field has all the trees have fallen and the paddy got wasted. The insurance company who is a participant in the blockchain platform can ask the drone service provider, please go for this GPS area and send me the picture of condition of the field from a low-lying photograph. I want to see and survey whether the crop has really fallen and there is a water logging. So drone will take the picture and send it to the insurance company, and the insurer. Automatically, the insurance company will be convinced that it's a third-party survey and pictures and videos are there, sent by the drone directly to the blockchain, which has gone into the smart library, and the drone service providers are providing this service with the help of a smart contract signed between the insurer and the farmer. So what essentially you are seeing that blockchain here not only performing as a transactional facility, but also it is performing the facility of a technology integrator, which providing surveillance service, which providing technological service, which providing insurance services also. And the flexibility of these services can be done. I was talking about, suppose this is the first phase of the contract. If somebody wants to change it, it can change in the second phase. And if the second phase also not acceptable, third phase also change can become. And finally, when the signed contract is signed, it will go to the preservation mode, and this will become the driver of the blockchain. You may think of how all these things will be done. The system will be scripted in such a manner that the contractware will be worked in such a manner that the system automatically will take care of all this. So, but if you ask me, is it so hunky-dory? The answer is my interactions with various smart contract library writers all around the world. I've spoken in Dubai. I've met a conference where 700 people participated. Let me tell you, it is a difficult phenomenon. One of the lagging for which blockchain technology is suffering is creation of smart contract libraries. But dhire, things are coming into place. You may be happy to note that 15 Indian banks have, have signed and formed a company, private limited company, which is providing blockchain as a platform service for trade finance transaction, that is export import transaction, and financing money for working capital in relation to trade finance transaction. So dhire, smart contract based blockchain platforms have started getting into the corporate world. And it is the prediction in the World Economic Forum, that is Davos, where it has been said that by 2030, 10% of the global GDP is going to be transacted through blockchain platform. By 2030, global GDP is expected to be $130 trillion. So 10% of $113 trillion is equal to $13 trillion. So $13 trillion will be transacted, $13 trillion will be transacted to blockchain technology by 2030. That's the prediction. And that is where smart contracts are coming up. What is the status of legal recognition of blockchain? Let me tell you this, it is very successful and very encouraging. In 1999, US, 47 states of US passed an act called Uniform Electronic Transaction Act. By these two, once these two acts were passed, in US, there were proliferation of digital transformation and digital technologies. When cryptocurrency came in 2009, and when SEC was asked to control cryptocurrency, which is also transacted to blockchain, and there is a smart contract in it for, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever you hear about. There is a lady called Valerie Shefenick. She was appointed as the crypto czar of on behalf of Security Exchange Commission of US. She has said in her best wisdom that smart contracts can help regulation. That means legal luminaries are corroborating about smart contracts. Okay, I'll finish within another 10-15 minutes time with my case study, and after that I'll be taking your question. Maybe by 4:30 we'll finish the session. If you have any question in your mind, you can put in the chat box, and Deepak can help me to prompt the chat box questions, and I can help. Otherwise, you can yourself raise the question after I finish. In
Sure.
India, Information Technology Act 2000, Section 4567, this particular act has given legal recognition to electronic records and signatures, etc. By an amendment of the of the same act in 2008, digital signatures are also now being recognized in place of physical signature. That means in any software system, you don't have to anymore upload a PDF copy, which is having a physical signature of the contracting parties. Digital signature in a blockchain platform, when you do the acceptance button ticking, which in any case you do for your banking transactions. Banking transaction, when you give an acceptance ticking button, it becomes your digital signature, although your signature is not there, but it is considered to be your signature. Same way in blockchain technology, this is done. In 2016, when the GDPR came, General Data Protection Rule came in Europe, it became a very big thing. In fact, in the entire world, including some parts of US, is following GDPR. It's a path-breaking law where all legal contracts which are executed and done through technology platforms are expected. So with proliferation of ICT and internet-based application, all nations around the world are doing this. Now, very interestingly, specifically blockchain records was Supreme Court of China. China's Supreme Court ruled in 2018 that any record which is created by blockchain-based technology platform will be acceptable by as a legal evidences by the courts of law, particularly which are dealing with digital items. So this is where I finished my discussion on block smart contracts. Subject is not very vast. If you have conceptually understood, I have almost repeated the same thing in a couple of slides. I started with the legal requirement of a legally enforceable contract. Then I defined a smart contract and talked about its features. Then I talked about how the steps are done. Then I talked about what are the simple cases where it can be applied. Then I talked about how a digital lawyer of blockchain is the smart contracts. Then I summarized the whole thing and gave you the 9 benefits of smart contract. Then I talked about the KYC and KYP performance issues. Then I talked about how smart contracts can help blockchain platform to integrate several technologies, like a drone can be integrated, a robotic process automation, or an AR, VR, or a robot also can be integrated. This I have written about. I've written about all these in my papers on agriculture blockchain platform. And then finally, I talked about the legal recognition. Now let us go to a caselet. Can you see the caselet? Deepak, can you see the caselet?
No.
No.
You would
Okay.
have clicked on that hyperlink I gave, no? That we have not seen after that.
Achha. Let me try now. I'll be
Anna,
able
you
to.
again, you can stop sharing this, and then the caselet is what it is.
Yeah,
Uh, is it a URL or something?
it is a Word document. So
Acha.
I will stop sharing this.
Again, go to that window and you can choose the Word document.
You got it?
Yes,
The
yes.
Word document is there with you?
Yeah, concept document.
Yes, it is concept document.
Yeah.
Actually, you people will be very happy as professors that we 4 professors, one from Alaska University, US, Professor Ajit Dayanandan, Professor Kamaljit Singh Sandhu of an Australian university, I myself from NMIMS, and one professor of IIMK, that is Professor Sudarshan Kuntluru. We are working on a research project, accounting, reporting, and auditing from blockchain technology based platforms. And we have also received an invitation from the Journal of International Economic Laws, which has asked us to write a paper on smart contract. In fact, the editor of that journal, Professor Munir Maniruzzaman, who is a professor of Portsmouth University, London, and also an advisor to the president of Dhaka, that is president of Bangladesh, Dhaka. He invited me to extend this paper, which you just now saw, which was published by Institute of Cost Accountants of India, for an extended paper to be published by their Journal of International Law, International Economic Laws. So I am working on this smart contract on two international research projects. One is with three professors, and one is with a professor of IIMK who is from finance, and another professor of IIMK who is on law. So this concept paper I created for them, two of them, because they didn't have any idea. In this first part of this concept paper, I have talked about what I have just now talked about to you through these slides. Now I will take you through a caselet. May I request you to read this caselet, please, for 1 minute. It will take 2 minutes maximum for you to read. Then I'll summarize. Please read this caselet. BaaS means blockchain service provider. Say Infosys or TCS, they have created a blockchain for export-import transaction. That is BaaS. BTP means blockchain transaction platform. eBTP means export-import blockchain transaction platform. Okay, let me explain to you what is this caselet all about. This caselet is about a blockchain platform being created by, say, Infosys or TCS, or say NMIMS, where where various participants from all over the world has participated, who are exporters from their respective countries and importers to their respective countries, various banks of those countries, various insurance companies, various other companies which are required, shipping, shipbuilders, shippers, then port authorities, taxation authorities, customs and authorities, all of them have participated. And in that blockchain platform, an Indian party called Indian Manufacturing Party, IMC, Indian Manufacturing Company, has asked for a quotation, and four international parties have quoted. And finally, the quotation of the party from Germany, the machine builders from Germany, his offer has been accepted. And now when the offer has been accepted, uh, then they have got into the smart contract library, drawn the buying selling contract with and without changes. They have decided that they will go ahead. And now there will be various requirements of LC, insurance, then various quality control, etc. So I have listed here the sequence of transactions. RFQ, request for quotation by IMC, quote by machine builder, acceptance of MBG's offer, then sequential signing of contracts, issuance of acceptance of letter of credit by banks. Now, when it letter of credit by banks, it is a tripartite, rather four-party contract between the exporter of Germany, importer of India, exporters bank in Germany, importers bank in India, payment of advance if necessary, then quality certification. This is the case we'll talk about later. The transporter machine, that means the local transporter in Germany and the local transporter in India from Indian port to the manufacturer's place, acceptance of shipper for the cargo, then issue of bill of lading, payment of IMC's bank honoring LC. Once the goods have been shifted, then importer's bank will honor the LC and pay to the exporter. Then when it arrives at the port of India, bill of entry will be issued by the port of destination, and the port is also a service provider and a party in the blockchain. Then assessment of duty by the indirect tax authorities, payment of duty by the Indian importer and import duty, then transport from import port to the importer's plant, and etc. etc. So you can imagine, for a simple import export transaction, how many contracts will be required. Maybe not less than, I have counted, not less than 15 to 17 contracts will be required, and some would be single bipartite, some will be tripartite, some of the four parties. Now let us take only the simple case of quality certification, and everything is happening in blockchain. At respective stage of digitally signing each contract, executing each transactional obligation and consenting acceptance of the same by the concerned opponent parties or opposite parties, there will be everything happening in the contract. Suppose Bureau Veritas has been agreed between Bureau Veritas, the importer and the exporter, that their company, and Bureau Veritas is a company in, say, Germany, or can be a company in US. They have accepted to do the quality certification based on which the goods, the machine will be shipped from Germany. So what is the first transaction? Terms and Bureau Veritas have already quoted along with other quality certification, and their quote has been accepted. Now there will be a third tripartite contract with terms and condition between the Bureau Veritas, the importer, and the German exporter. Now, once this contract is from the digital library of the blockchain, the smart contract will be signed. And once it is signed, it will be issued by the blockchain automatically to all the people who need to know about it. Because when materials are shipped, the bankers need to know it, because there is a LC condition that whether Bureau Veritas have given a clearance. The insurer need to know it because quality certification is essential. The shipper need to know it because the shipper will not accept a goods unless it is quality certified. So once this is done, then the machine builder will announce that the goods are ready for inspection. The Bureau Veritas will physically go there and certify. Once this certification is done, then the blockchain Bureau Veritas will upload the document to the blockchain platform. The blockchain platform will announce to all the parties, and Bureau Veritas would generate its invoice. Again, through the blockchain platform, it will generate invoice. It is not generated from its own SAP or ERP system. And the German machine builder will remit the payment to Bureau Veritas either through offline, or when central bank digital currency will come, it will be integrated with this blockchain platform. So Bank of MBG would confirm by an intimation of the transaction in the EBTP. After introduction of CBDC, this will be done only in any case. So Bureau Veritas has been paid. Now, Bureau Veritas will continue to remain responsible for the quality certification unless it is received at the importer's end in India. And finally, it is inspected in the port of destination, and the bill of entry, till the bill of entry is issued, Bureau Veritas is continuing to be responsible till the ultimately the final machine is accepted in India. So what you are seeing, that everything related to inspection of a goods will be done through the computing system, and and for this purpose nobody will go to any lawyer. Nobody will, if it would have been a lawyer, then a physical contract would have been sent by Bureau Veritas to first the importer and the exporter. Then they would have seen it offline. They would have gone to their audit lawyer. Lawyer would have asked for certain changes. Then three parties will send their respective changes. It will be incorporated. It will be then signed off. Then it will be uploaded. Very, very time consuming position and very, very time consuming proposition. All these things will not be required. The blockchain lawyer, which is the smart contract, will get everything performed through the system, except if any clause is to be changed, that is to be changed. Otherwise, quality inspection certification is a very standard law all over the world, and there are international guidance for it also from the International Chamber of Commerce for quality certification. So it becomes so simple, so cost effective, so time efficient. So you can make out that what a beautiful thing a blockchain service provider can provide to its clients when the question comes of smart contracts and a digital lawyer systems. So with this, I'll stop my presentation. And if there is any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This is very, very insightful. Yes, we do have a few questions in the chat box. I'll
Yeah.
read them out to you. The
Please give me
first
the
one,
name who has raised the first questions.
yeah, I'll tell you. So this is Dr. Brigadier Srinivasan. He's a director of our Chandigarh campus. So he has three questions. I'll read them one by one so that you can answer them one by one. How are the conditions of vagaries of nature incorporated?
Okay. Uh, Dr. Srinivasan, first of all, this is my third training program through SVKM's training platform. I'm on all three were present. I'm sincerely expressing my gratitude and thankfulness to you. So vagaries
Jai
of
Hind, sir.
nature, when you talk about vagaries of nature, you are talking about the agriculture, or you are talking about this export import transaction. Which one I should explain to you?
Both, sir. It would come both since
Okay,
in one
so
case you
far as
got,
the agriculture is concerned, I
sir.
told you that agriculture of concern, two things can happen. Not timely rain can happen, or excessive rain can happen, or after the crop is sowed, drought can come. So suppose when the crop is being sown, before the agriculturist or farmer announces that I want to sow paddy this year, the blockchain will the smart contract, which is contractually agreed with the meteorological department. The meteorological department will say the monsoon ka mizaj is saal aisa hai. So it will hit your GPS area around this time. So you are prepare your seed bed around this time. And this is the monsoon condition this year. So you will need this much of irrigation, because during this period there can be a position of less rain. So there, around that time you should supplement your natural rain by irrigational rain. So this is one vagaries can be taken care of by blockchain platform with the help of meteorologist coming into the blockchain and advising the agriculturist. Accordingly, the soil scientist also can say that, okay, if that be so, and paddy requires at this stage of its growth so much of water and moisture in the soil, and your soil is of this type, use so much quantity of water. So this is one part. The second part, I told you that that the attack of insecticide or pesticides is also a vagary of nature. So the drone can help to get timely surveillance done. The farmer need not go to the paddy field, and the drone pictures will be sent because drone service provider is contractually bound by smart contract. It will send a picture to the soil scientist and agro scientist. Agro scientist is bound by his service to the farmer. He will write a note to the farmer through the blockchain platform. Use this, and you will be corrected. If necessary, the agro scientist may be asked to visit physically. So at the block level development of that particular local government block development officer can visit. And the third is flood or drought, where insurance company steps in. Okay. Now coming to the export import contract, 3-4 vagaries can take place. One, there can be an act of God at the place of the manufacturer, for which the export may be delayed. That means suppose there is a flood or there is a fire in the manufacturer's factory. So blockchain contract, the smart contract, purchase sale contract between the importer and exporter will have a force majeure clause. So that is will take care. The second vagaries can take place, that there can be the ship sinking because of huge tornado or typhoon in the mid sea. So there the shipping company will ship in, and the ship is continuously under the surveillance of the transponder base. So आसमान से जो transponder होते हैं ना, वो ship को हमेशा control करते हैं. You must be knowing as an army person. So that transponder is also a participant which is controlling the ship's movement. So that will continuously, like the drone, it will continuously keep informing the insurance company how the ship is moving and other parties. Similarly, at the port of destination, maybe the ship is bought before the goods are taken out. It could be possible that the ship can be destroyed by the huge typhoon or can be swept away, which happens in America. Again, here the insurance company will come. So these are the ways smart contracts will have all these conditions done, and other technology integrations with this blockchain will help it.
Okay, sir. I think
Thank you, sir.
because here physically we have human involvement. Now you're going to look at it from the involvement of technology to try and take care of such things. I think that is logical but very complex, sir. So I just thought
it is complex, but
yes,
it has been tried and tested.
sure. I put the next question, sir, to try
Yeah.
and understand collaterals and insurance clauses. How will they work in this kind of
Okay.
thing?
Okay. Excellent. So when the goods are
Excuse
to
me,
be
sir,
goods
Dr.
are to
Basu,
be
maybe you can stop sharing this document and
And
you can switch on your camera perhaps.
okay.
You can stop sharing this document. Yeah, that's better. Right.
It is stopped.
fine, sir, fine.
Okay. So when the question comes that the sorry
I wanted to try and see how collaterals can be
okay.
included and insurance clauses can be
Okay.
included.
Collaterals, there could be two sets. That means suppose the banker gives a loan for the German party to build this machine. The party may not be having money, and the loan will be dissolved by the Indian party making the payment. So when the agreement will be done by the German party's banker and the German manufacturer, the agreement again will be done within the blockchain and for extending the loan, and the smart contract will have the collateral point in it. So that is one way. And in here the issue would be that suppose the till it reaches the port of destination, the responsibility lies with the MBG, that is the
Center.
German party. So insurance policy which will be issued, it will be issued that the beneficiary of the insurance company beneficiary will be the exporter from Germany. So if this ship sinks, then the insurance company's money will go to the German company, and German company will not get the money because the loan was to be liquidated by the
To the
importer
banker.
importer payment. Now the importer has not received the machine, So the insurance company will now disburse the loan to the German banker, because German banker has given the money
Money to the
to the German exporter.
correct.
Okay, so
Okay.
so the collateral issue will be again taken care of by the smart contract.
Then my last question was, we give a lot of provision in contract for contingencies and consultancies. I mean, we give percentages in terms of, like, say, if you go by the government contract, it's called that manual of contract 2249. There is adequate provisions within the contract for such contingencies and consultancies. So can we have these pretty flexible in this also?
Whatever you do in real life is possible to be replicated in digital transformed life. But you don't have to run through the lawyer's office or write separate mails. Everything will be done in the system. Suppose you find that when you sign the contract, certain laws have been changed with retrospective effect. So you need a consultant, right? At that point of time, the blockchain as a service provider like TCS or Infosys, they come into the picture. They have to change the blockchain smart contract library, and the agreement signed between the parties will be changed in retrospective because the law changes
Changes
retrospective.
retrospective.
So an amendment to the law will be signed, and the smart contract library provides facility for such amendment.
Fixed. Thank you,
Okay,
sir. Thanks.
thank you.
Always a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you,
My
sir.
pleasure, my pleasure. Questions are
So,
very interesting.
so we now have a set of questions from
Yeah.
Professor Rima, who's from School of Law, Navi Mumbai.
Can I
So I'll,
can I can I can I have the benefit of her speaking to me with open video?
Rima ma'am, yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can just ask your question directly. Yeah.
yes.
So I have a few questions. It's really complex, so I don't know if I understand fully. So I want to know if there are any limitations of smart contracts per se, and if there is any dispute, say for example, retrospective application of a law that we just discussed, how would the judiciary intervene? And
Okay.
I think that I'll ask my next couple of questions in a bit.
I'll first take those two questions, then I
Yes,
can
sir.
take our next question. I'll take your second question first. It has been it has been very well tested formula in blockchain transaction is that when two parties sign a contract, the blockchain library is having that smart contract which till that point of time complied with law. Right. Now, I talked about with Brigadier's question regarding change in law retrospective effect. So that's taken care of. Now, if subsequently regarding the interpretation of a law is done differently by any of these two parties, first of all, they should not do it because they have consented to. But suppose some party has disputed some performance of any of the parties, maybe the insurer, maybe the banker, maybe the supplier, maybe the buyer, and it is taken to the court of law. Since law of India and law of the world in various countries accepts these digital contracts and evidences as equal evidences which are equivalent to physical, the blockchain library gives you facility to retrieve those digitally signed documents with evidence with timestamp and public key transplant. You know how the digital signature is done in blockchain. When I enter a blockchain, I sign with a private key. And when I go into blockchain, I am not known by Paritosh Basu or Rima Hor. I am known by my public key, which is a 27 letter, 30 letter number, alphanumeric item. Now, and that alphanumeric item, who is that person is stored by the system because it is linked to my KYC, right?
Mhm.
It is linked to my KYC. Now, when the documents are retrieved, all these digital evidences are printed and quote, and then the service provider interprets to the KYP document that this particular public key was allocated to Paritosh Basu. and Rima Horde is the litigating party, and she has signed these things. Now, court of law are having digital evidences, which court of law will be able to get into that blockchain transfer library. They will be given an access because they are also digitally savvy. They will go into the system and see those documents.
I think that's a lot to ask for given the pendency in our codes. I don't know if
I
our
think
codes are well equipped.
Madam, I think pendency will be resolved because today you ask the party and the party submits after 10 days. When you operate through a blockchain, the justice asks the registrar and registrar immediately enters the system and retrieves the document.
Right. So
So
it
when
becomes
10
more
days will be
efficient.
10 days will be 10 minutes,
That's a
if
lovely
not
thought,
10
sir.
minutes.
And
Achha.
the other thing I wanted to ask you is
Your
how
first question was what?
any limitations,
Uh,
of the process, the entire idea of smart contract. So is it going to take
I'll
over
tell you,
in all
I'll tell you.
fields? Yeah.
Professor, it is like this. I have interacted with the best of the world like Google, then Ethereum, Accenture, Capgemini, IBM. The only limitation is that they are developing the smart contract library. It is getting developed, no doubt about it. But the pace is very slow because, as you know, we can say it's an export-import transaction, but in the commercial world, every transaction is unique by itself, right?
Right.
So all the permutation combinations and probable scenarios you have to build in the smart contract. But the ray of hope for this is that things are improving day by day. Smart contract libraries are getting developed.
Ambiguity would be a little bit of a problem currently.
No, you are a law professor. If you
Mhm.
claim that a person like, say, Dilip Udeshi or Harish Salve can draft a contract without ambiguity, that kind of people only is going to prepare the smart contract library.
Right.
No.
Understand? No, it
So
seems
if
like a whole automated process, so I was a little bit confused. That's why I was seeking this clarification.
no. By the time you will turn 45, 50, ma'am, you will be the digital lawyer because lawyers' lives are going to change.
Right. So the other thing I wanted to know was about jurisdictional issues. So if it's a contract between parties in different countries, so would the smart contract, let's say, incorporate an arbitration clause?
Today, you incorporate whatever you incorporate today
Mm-hmm.
and whatever laws, suppose it's a contract between the German party and Indian import.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so you need to
So
unmute
you've
yourself.
gone mute by chance. You've gone mute by mistake. You'll have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
So the two countries' law will be applicable. Now, smart contract will be the moment suppose a party from Sudan has entered today. The smart contract library will be updated, another version of the contract where Sudanese law will be incorporated.
Right.
Essentially, import-export transactions are based on Incoterms. And essentially, import-export payments, etc., are also done in terms of Board of Bank of International Settlement. So every country follows certain international law in case of international, because there are multilateral agencies announcing these things. So most of the cases, all countries will follow the common system of BIS or IMF or World Bank or whatever. If anything specific is there, there is facility available in the system to change it. So ambiguity in the contract scope is very, very limited.
All right. So thank you for your insight. This was really nice to understand, and I feel like we're making some progress here
Thank you
digitally.
so much. And
Thank
by
you.
the time you become 45, I assure you will be a digital lawyer. And I'm so happy that
Let's
I could meet a law professor in this platform who is listening to smart contract.
We're happy to meet you as well,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Rima, and thank you once again, Dr. Basu. I have a very fundamental basic question.
Yeah.
Now, supposing we as SVKM, we are not having a blockchain or we are not a part of any blockchain. And if we, and you know, want to buy some equipment or be giving a contract to somebody, and he says that I want to sign a smart contract. Now, there will be many constituents or members of the smart contract, right? From the vendor to the banker to the supplier to the subcontractor. What is the prerequisite for each of these members to be a part of the smart contract without any other, uh, you know, blockchain participation? Can I become a member of that smart contract?
Okay, very interesting point. Recently, you have seen a TV advertisement that ICICI Bank is saying कि आपने mobile पे आपकी smart business है, right? That
Ayushman
means
Khuranas.
that is the meeting point of a supplier and a buyer, and bank is providing a platform which is where a bank supplier and buyer are meeting and doing their transaction, and banking becoming an intermediary. That platform is a portal. It's not a blockchain. But when you enter that platform and then you go do a transaction, for that matter, if you want to create a fixed deposit today or transfer money to another recipient, you finally click the button accept, right? And in that platform, which is a not a blockchain platform but a trading platform, there has to be an accept. Now inside that there is no smart contract. I'll tell you why. Because that contract is one of its kind. You can only read it. If you don't accept that, you will say I don't accept, so you don't do the transaction. So it is a digitally signed contract and digitally prepared contract and a digitally administered contract, but it is not a blockchain platform. So if you essentially have to do an application of any smart contract for SVKM to sign, the smart contract as a concept only will come when there is a blockchain platform. Otherwise, you call it a digital contract, where a contract has been hosted. You have seen you have read it. You have no right to change it. You rely upon ICICI Bank and you sign and accept and done, because you know that the contract has been created with the help of an RBI, who is the regulator, right? So their every system has been technically audited by a technical auditor of software, and commercially and logically and legally audited by various concerned agencies. Then only RBI's technical team has allowed them to roll out that software. There you have that comfort. But you as an independent participant in that platform of ICICI Bank, you cannot do anything about it. So it's not a smart contract. It's a digital contract. You can say it is several steps ahead of physical contracts. But for smart contract, you need a blockchain platform.
So which means everybody who is going to be a member of that or participate in that smart contract will have to come into the blockchain.
Absolutely. Otherwise, it is not
For the purpose of that contract.
right.
We may not have our own complete blockchain, but for the
Correct.
purpose of this contract, we enter and accept the environment of that blockchain.
Absolutely right.
Sir, I suppose, sir, in this same context, I just wanted to know there has to be something called intermediary creditories, people who can vouch for you, people who can ascertain whether you are capable of handling it. So that agency now would be given the term of a bank, or would it be another third party which says, yes, this is a genuine person who can indulge in such a activity?
You mean to say the blockchain service provider
Not
who
the
has
blockchain
created
service provider. He is a tool. Who will vouch for me that I am not a robot, but I am a person who's a party to
because,
this?
okay, if you are a participant to the blockchain, you are coming via KYP, that is know your participant. Suppose you IBM's KYP system you have not accepted, then the blockchain will have its own KYP process. So blockchain will ask you to first complete the KYP process, and in that KYP process, logically you will be tested whether you are a human being entering the system by following the steps, or you are a robot. System will automatically get to know about it. Like, sometimes you do captcha.
Correct. Thank you,
Click the
sir.
pictures which has
Click,
a
click, click.
traffic signal. So that is the way you are tested whether you are a robot or not robot.
Correct. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions or any thoughts? This is absolutely a new subject for all of us. We've heard a lot about it. And today we got to know some very, very meaningful insights, and particularly the questions that followed thereafter from Brigadier and from ma'am, Rima ma'am. They were really, really insightful. So
Let me tell
thank you.
you, your question was much more interesting. Rima's question was something to do with a legal point of view. Rima was trying to talk about whatever we embed. I do not know whether Rima is still there in the platform.
She's there.
Whatever we embed in a physical contract, yes, whatever we embed in a physical contract like jurisdiction and contingency clause or whatever clause, whether it can be embedded and whether any change in law can be embedded. But your question was, what essentially is a small difference between what we are experiencing today in contract which we go through in a digital platform like a banker's platform essentially, or Amazon.com's platform or Flipkart's.com versus what you are contemplating in a blockchain platform. That is what your question, Deepak. And those are not smart contracts essentially. That clarification which you wanted through your question was very interesting. And similarly, Rima's question is how the evidences will be retrieved from the system.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to thank you. And also to the participants, I would like to inform, with due permission of Dr. Basu, that Dr. Basu is completing his tenure with us. After 6 long years, he will be moving on.
9 years.
9 long years. He will be moving on to pursue his other interests. He's an evangelist, so he will continue doing. He's an author. He will continue writing. And we hope and believe that Dr. Basu will give us the opportunity and be obliging us to come up for sessions in the future as well.
Anytime, anytime. In fact, recently I've written a paper on digital assets and non-fungible tokens.
We will
So
do that. We will invite you, sir.
maybe 1 month or 1.5 months, 2 months down the line, we can
Sure.
again meet in this platform and talk about that particular subject. I'll be
Thank you, sir.
available whenever you call me. I'll just remain a phone call away.
So from all of us, wish you the very best, sir, and
Thank you.
have a great innings ahead. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.